Okay, good morning, everyone. Another week, probably over 60 days into this, kind of shutdown here. So the 18th is coming, and I think we're considering reopening. Will be probably a soft opening. So any of the students that are watching, we're thinking about the 18th, and after that, we would consider doing a soft opening, see who's going to come back. If you plan to come back, you can, Lucien@calvinshin.com, you can email us to say, yeah, we would come back in the mornings, and then with the next class with the kids, I'll talk to them to see, what they intend to do, and then we'll kind of work around that. We'll continue to do the streaming, and we'll continue to, work with the conditions as it is, but meanwhile, we have to have a plan, so we're going to work toward that end. So another day, so we're going to work with our Tai Chi Paradigm form first in the warm-up, so we're like this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Hands here, bend to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up, reach down, stretch. 1, 2, 3. To your right, 2, 3. To your left, 2, 3. Center, palms up. Inhale, exhale. Okay, hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left. Center, lift up, palms up, palms down to exhale. Okay, ready? Hands on your waist, circular movements. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 more. 1, and stop. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center cross. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. Down. Back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Center. Tilt to the side. Stretch to the side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and stop. Center. Down. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Hands up. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Turn. Stretch it out. Switch. 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 Okay, next we're going to straighten the, switch again, switch, straighten this leg out and bend from the hip. Stretch out the back of the leg. Reach down as far as you can, relax. Don't force it, just relax, breathe, and exhale. Feel the muscle release and relax. Switch. And switch. Okay, one more time. Go to your left, or I'm in my left, you go to your right. Recall this is mirror image, so we're doing this same side, but it's opposite. Okay, center, shake it out. Hands up, palm up, pull in, elbows out, up on your toes, and down. So you inhale as you expand, and up on your toes, and exhale. One more time, inhale, exhale. Okay, next, hands on your waist, shoulder roll, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Okay, press palms back, release, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, breathe through your nose, exhale through the nose. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, wrists. Now we're going to reverse. And center. Now palms down. Big circle. 1, 2, and 3. It's up like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, relax the shoulders and don't force the movement. 1, 2, let it swing, release, let it go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a few more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Let's do deep breathing again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we shift the weight, move to the side, and we'll go back again. So the hands on the waist, so you shift the weight, shift until you feel this leg have to come toward that side. So when you shift and it starts to move, you find that balance point. Okay, switch. 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 And then hold. And go back to center. Switch. Balance. Extend. Let's go back. Okay, now the hands are going to go up and down. Once the leg gets to here, you're going to go up. Switch over and up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, now we're going to swing the arms like this. I think last week someone mentioned, they preferred the front view. Sometimes with this one, it's maybe easier. So what I've been doing is stepping forward and then back, just to give you a sense of the coordination required to either move forward and back. So when you move forward, the opposite side kicks in, and then if you go back, it switches. Now we start to do it without the step. You just move the forward foot or the opposite foot. Now, right now, I'm swinging my right leg. It should be your left leg. So you see the relationship is that. Okay, now let's switch back. I'll take a few steps back. And I take my step forward. I take it again. I take it again. And then I kick. Okay? So you see the kicking movement is on the opposite side. But actually, it's not a physical, forceful kick. It's just swinging your leg. It's swinging from your hip. Your upper body actually has to compensate for any shift of your center of mass. So you're really controlling that, developing sort of this equal opposite balancing relationship. Okay, let's stop. Okay, shake it out. Then next we're going to go side to side like this. So the hand goes out, the leg goes opposite, and when it comes down, the foot crosses in front. So this is side to side. So what happens is if you swing like this and then you lose your center, you're going to end up doing this. Right? So you really have to keep your body centered over this leg so that between the two sides, it's fairly balanced. Now on this side, same thing happens. The arms are going to go like this, and then you let it go. Let it go. So you actually keep all your weight on this supporting leg. And then you try to balance the swing, but you can always check your weight going back if you feel like you're losing your balance. But because we're practicing and sort of training to improve on this, do the best you can. And also, if you have to check to take a little break to catch the momentum of the leg, and just do that. Okay, shake it up. Hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. So just remember, anything that we're doing, a lot of it's new for any of the new followers. And the thing is, don't worry about whether you can do it the first few times, because over time, you'll start to improve. And the challenge to your own body is to continue to do it. And the benefit of doing it is that eventually your body will figure this out, just like you're focusing with your mind to try to build that relationship and build that, understanding. So now, the next thing we're going to do is the silk reeling, which is actually a circular movement like this, but we have this leg work that takes us to the front position and then back. So this is a hold the ball position, or starting here, and you go forward, and when you go back, you turn. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can consider this 5 or 0 and starting again. So you cycle through, you build the coordination required to do this. So in the back position, your arms are like this. In the forward position, your arms are like this. In the transitional side of it, you're doing this. And you just turn in the direction of the forward circle. You see, the hand is just doing this. That's all the front hand is doing, is making a big circle. There's no change in direction. It just follows the natural path of that hand movement. Now, the back hand actually creates this. So if you go forward, and then the way back, this hand comes over the top like this. So between 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you reset and you come to this position, and eventually you'll build sort of the body intelligence to create this movement. That's called silk reeling, or this is called silk reeling. So we start here, here, then we end up here, and it goes forward. And then when we sit back, we end up here. This goes over the top, and this comes underneath. And the front hand, which is on the front side of the leg. So this is my left. It should be your right, and you're making this big circle. Just take the front hand and just circle around like this. Now once you sit back, bring this hand over the top like you're telling someone to come or follow you. So it's just a direction of movement. Eventually you'll realize that everything that we're doing is direction. Your patterns and directions. Because we're dealing with movement in space, we have to track the movement and eventually build that coordination where the hands and legs build a synchronization. So what is the movements front and back? You're dealing with center of mass. You're dealing with shifting of the body and transitioning from front to back, putting weight on each leg. So that becomes a weight-bearing exercise. So weight-bearing means you bear weight on one side or you work it to the other. All right, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now we're going to cross like this. The hand on the outside is with the front leg. We're going to cross, open, and close. Open and close. Okay? So use a lot of terminology to sort of describe the motion. So when we expand, that means opening up. When we close, it comes back to center. Expand and contract. Expand and contract. If you're working, once you have the hands, you're working the rear leg, which is the weight-bearing leg, and you go up and down, up and down. So there's a bit of coordination there, but you're working this leg, it's a little up and down. So you're working the muscles that allow you to lift and release, right? So on the other side, we have the same cross-hand position, but it's with this hand on the outside and this foot, so it's on the same side. We're going to open and close. Just get the expansion and contraction. So when you expand, this is palms to the side. On the other side, it was the same. And you cross. This stays on the front side of the arm. So these are just reference points. When you start to do these over and over again, it'll become just a natural course that you're just going to open, expand, and the hands will know where you're going. Cross-hand positions is a common position that we show as a crossing of the forearms. And then expand and contract. And here we're working the leg on the back side, and you're lifting and down, and you lift and down, open and close. So a weight-bearing exercise just means it's carrying more of your body weight than it would be if you're doing it with a 50-50 relationship. You know, if I'm in a 50-50 relationship, I shift like this. This automatically starts to support more weight. If I shift this way, this automatically. So you can see, you know, there's a consistency in how we move our lower half of the body. So you're practicing Tai Chi or been prescribed Tai Chi for improving balance, improving mobility, maybe locomotion, you know, whatever it is that you're working toward to improve, it's really the lower half of your body that's focused on with these drills. And then in the upper body, we work the patterns. Okay, so that's what we call opening and closing. Okay, next, the hands go up like this, and we build more coordination. The hands and the legs work together, right? So you have your elbow, you have your knees, you have your ankles, you have your wrists, you have your shoulders, you have your hips. So those sort of, if you look at the joint design, they're similar. But the relationship is that they kind of tie together and they move in conjunction with each other. So that's the relationship that I'm referring to, mainly so that you can understand that there's an upper-lower coordination. This is really not the normal for most people, because a lot of people just move, not even just upper body, they might even be moving only one side at a time. You know, with functionality, we actually do a lot of things where both sides are working. Might be just your hands or your arms, not necessarily including the legs. But when it comes to physical exercise, it seems like people become quite isolated because they don't understand there's a relationship in movement, especially virtual movement. So this is fairly simple because why? Because both arms are moving as a pair. So your brain actually can figure that out pretty easily. Okay, next we're going to do the 5 positions standing meditation. So this is the geometry, the hoop position. It's the lower hoop. If you recall, the lower hoop's about waist level or in front of the navel. Arms are rounded, shoulders are cupped. Your tongue touches the roof of your mouth. Breathe naturally. It doesn't have to be deep breathing. It's just normal breathing. Tongue touching the roof of your mouth. Clear your thoughts. That's the first position. Second position, shoulder height. Okay. Now we're going to drop the elbows, form this position. So here your knees are slightly bent. Relax the ankles and the hips vertically, sinking straight down from the spine to the top of the head. Now we're going to roll down like this. The palms start to face down. You elongate the spine and then straighten the knees without locking them. Just extend them up so you're kind of lifting from above. Chin is tucked in slightly to release the tension in the nape of the neck. So you can stare straight ahead or gaze to the front. Tongue touching the roof of your mouth. Extend the fingertips. Okay, now we're going to lift up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. exhale. Inhale, exhale. So standing meditation, there's 5 positions. There's the lower hoop, middle hoop, and the elbows down. Those are done with the knees slightly bent. Then you do the extended last 2 positions where your hands are down like this and like this. So all of these positions are part of the geometry of position. It's also part of the body form. So you clear your thoughts, you breathe through your nose, and while the tongue is touching the roof of your mouth, you're going to realize that there's more saliva accumulating in the mouth, so you should swallow that and just allow that to sink down. And that's just part of what happens when you breathe through your nose and your tongue is touching the roof of your mouth. So, it is a state of mind, and when your mind is in that state and you're clearing your thoughts, things happen. Actually, your saliva starts to secrete, more readily than normal. So you will have to swallow, because sometimes if you were in class and you notice you're standing in a position, all of a sudden you choke because you didn't swallow. So that's something that you should be aware of. All right, deep breathing. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now we're going to do a few of the postures, starting with this first one, which is really starting from here and similar to what we did in silk reeling, just defining the slant diagonally or the diagonal flying. So this is that position. So you notice the diagonal flying and the part the horse's mane and so forth comes from the hold the ball position. So the hold the ball position is really a transitional motion to part the horse's mane diagonal flying. In some forms, you'll see that it leads into other postures. And, so that's really a pretty standard position for a lot of the Tai Chi. Okay, switch. We're going to hold the ball. I'm just going to do a few of these. Remember, this is called diagonal flying. Diagonal meaning on the slant, meaning the slant of the 45 line from point A to point B. Okay, it's sort of like holding a frisbee and throwing it up in air like that. So it's a diagonal fly. Okay, next we're going to do the cloud hand movement. So we start here. We did this earlier. Now we do one hand at a time. Then you start to build a different motion, because now you're going to time the movement so one circle goes down and the other one goes up. And if your body is sensitive and reactive to what's going on in the body at this point, then you'll feel your body kind of want to drifting to one side and then drift toward the other side. And then if we turn the spine or the shoulders, we start to go toward the corner. Okay. So while we're shifting over like this, you're going to feel your body sort of filling a little on each side. And depending on how far you turn or how far you start to bring your body over, you would start to move that foot. So you should shift your weight before you turn. You shift your weight before you turn. You don't want to turn and then shift, because then that sort of breaks up the stability of the vertical position. When you shift your weight and then start to rotate, then you'll notice that you start to unweight as you turn, because now the relationship becomes much more sequential than it is really that it's just an abrupt shift of weight. You turn, and the reason when you turn, it allows you to bring the foot and then go back. Now if I were to move twice to the left, or your left, I'm moving actually to my right, you can see that when you get to this corner after you shift and you turn, then it allows you to go back. And we're going in both directions as a drill. In fact, most Tai Chi forms, cloud hands, we only move generally to the left. Some of the modern forms actually does both sides. But it's good as a drill to be comfortable moving in both directions. And we're keeping our feet parallel, right? So the feet stay parallel. We don't turn, we're not pivoting, so forth. So it makes it a lot easier to just take that step. You know, it's just moving from side to side. You would do that if you were, you know, on a plank and you don't cross over. You would, if you had to move across, you know, just to get there, you would just move 1 foot at a time. Okay, so that's all you're doing is going from side to side. All right, now let's do the deep breathing again. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So a lot of times teachers draw analogies or they draw metaphors to what we're doing when we're doing a specific exercise, or sometimes we bring in something you're familiar with. Why? Because in the beginning you really don't understand what you're doing, so what you do is you bring in a relationship or something you might be familiar with. Like whether like sometimes when you shift your weight or you pivot your feet, all of these things happen in other activities. You know, maybe you're a skier, maybe you're a skater. So you bring in the ideas of what happens when you're doing those type of things. And then you can realize that there is shifting of weight, there is moving your feet, there's turning in a direction. If you're doing something else, you know, so I bring an analogy of cooking, other sports, other activities, just so you can get familiar with the body mechanics involved with movement and how we kind of work within the realm of our space. So that's just to give you an idea, so that you can mentally connect with it and then draw that relationship, and eventually the body starts to adapt. So if you've been athletic in the past, you might be able to find, you know, a lot of the movements start to fall into a specific category of movement. All right, so now we're going to go to carry tiger to the mountain. So we have that lower hoop again, and we go up and out and then cross and down. So this is a transition. It's actually a series of motions inside the form. So you have lower hoop, upper hoop, palms out, stork flaps wings is similar to this, cross hands again, and lower hoop. So you can see we're just going from one position to the next. The position is passing through a combination of different geometries. So you have the circles and the hoops, that's upper and lower, and you bring it down by crossing. So that actually just blends and ties together the shapes, creating a pattern of movement. The next thing we do is go to the sternum area, and we're going to do this infinity sign. I call it a figure 8. And what you're doing is you're going in and you're going out, you're going in and out. Okay, so it's divert, block, and punch in the form, but actually it's a motion. It goes from side to side because directionally we can only go forward, backward, right, and left. And then if you add another dimension in the vertical, you would be up and down. And then if you connect them between vertical and horizontal, or take the up and down and slant it, you really create a pattern that ties the right and left together. So this is really right and left. And then you say, well, where's the up and down? Well, you can't, if your hands are doing this, then there's no up and down. You see, but when you go like this, there's down. When you go like this, there's up. It's a very small piece of what is up and down, but there is that dimension. Okay. not so much forward and back. Okay. Now that finishes that. Now when we're here, we form the fist. Now you have forward and back, right and left. Okay. Up and down, forward and back, right and left. So this is, many more dimensions that you can define if you look at it that way. A lot of times when we're first copying a movement, we don't think of those ideas. We don't think of the dimension. We don't think of what's going on until you create the movement. They say, okay, yeah, you do have forward and back. You will have right and left and so forth. Okay, so that completes that series of 3 drills, and they're usually working in the stationary position. So we have carry tiger to the mountain, the infinity sign, and form the fist. So those 3 pieces generally go with standing still, and those motions you can, pick up on those 3 different drills as working as one unit of exercise that you might be working separately. You have the standing meditation, and you have some of those balancing drills what we're talking about here. And then we have a combination of hands and legs built together, which is cloud hands moving side to side. So you have groupings of movements that you can take it out and separate them from the normal routine that we do just to kind of improve on them and heighten your awareness and build it so that you have much more coordination, especially the stepping ones and the shifting of weight. Now we're going to the center line, and then we fold the elbow. So here's more geometry. Here's the triangle. We separate the hands, and we're back to center. Separate the hands, you're back to center. So just as a guideline, front of the nose, 45 degrees. From here to here is 45 degrees. Leaves a space or a gap about a fist and a thumb's distance from your torso or your ribs. Okay, then we bring it back to center, and when we separate the hands, right about where the elbow is, it starts to come back. Okay, so the bottom of the circle and the top of the circle would be the tip of the finger to the bottom of the elbow. So that's the size of your circle, and when you come around, you don't take it out too wide. If you take it out wide, that means your elbow straightened out too much. Keep the elbow slightly bent or maintain this angular position, because when it comes across, you're actually always within the realm of your space. That space is here. That's really your center or your center gate. A gate is sort of an area we call center gate as a sort of a door. And then upper gate would be this, and then the lower gate is down here. So we have the center gate position, and we work off the middle. So we consider center gate as middle. And if you look at my center gate position, as I transition from one side to the other, my arms are always within the realm of that space, because that's what your arms are actually doing. If you talk about functionality, you're working with that space. If you're talking about sort of the martial aspect, then that would be a middle block, and that's what we're doing. We're just creating that motion in that space. So whether you're using it as a technique or just trying to control your movement so that you have control of that space. Okay, now thumbs up. We're still in this space, so we're still in this position and working this space. So this space is more of the natural realm of where you do most of your things. Okay, so what do I mean by the realm of the things that you would normally do? It really relates to the natural positions. So if you're say, whether you're cooking or cleaning or whatever you're doing, or using, a tool or gardening, most of the things happen in this space. So if you're cooking, you're in this space. You don't do this unless the pot is this tall. You're really in this space. When you pick up something, it's within the realm of this space. So when you're moving within the realm of your space, that's your natural space. So you want to work within the realm of that. Anything beyond this space going up becomes excessive, straining your shoulder. Anything below that puts a toll on the lower back. So how body mechanics works with motion and functionality really has to deal with the realm of this space. So that's why when we're doing things, when you sit at a desk, the ergonomics of a position, they either have adjustable tables and so forth, but the thing is, you're still working within the realm of this. If you're working your keypad, you're here. If you're looking at the screen, it's there. So if you're touching the buttons or you're touching your screen, it's here. So everything happens here. Nothing really goes over there. You have, I guess, maybe if you have multiple screens. But even if you have a multiple screen, what do you have to do? You have to turn. You have to turn 45 degrees. So the methodology, the ergonomics of movement and space becomes efficiency. So in the food industry or whatever you're doing, ergonomics are very important. If you have to take 3 steps, even designing kitchens, the layout of a kitchen has to do with where the different appliances are in relation to each other. They call it the work triangle. You have to work within the realm of that space to understand the efficiency of movement. So when we turn like this, or we move like this, or we take a step forward, take a step backwards, you don't have to really move beyond the realm of that to actually accomplish what you need to do within a space. So it just makes sense that everything that we're learning is trying to understand how movement, space, and relationships to functionality comes into play. So that's why, when I teach this, it's really about how Tai Chi's paradigm supports, the natural lifestyle of what we should be doing on a functional level. So, okay, now, when we're here, we extend it, we turn to the side, we draw the bow. Okay, we draw the bow. Okay, and we're just turning. Now, while we have movements all over the place, this is not within the realm of our space typically. Well, we're drawing the bow because if we're using this to simulate the action of drawing the bow, you would have to align your body. So we're aligning the body. We're aligning our ligaments, our torso, and our tendons so that we could work the extreme position. So alignment of our joints, like the shoulder, as alignment of our hips, really is what the body recognizes as the extension of our appendages. So that extension works not only the muscles that are driven from the mind, but the reaction to the ligaments, tendons, and the connective tissue that the body has to respond to and know that it needs to either build it, recover from actions that are forced, or misalignment that will cause injury. So a lot of these things really is a learning curve way beyond what we can expect, right? So we're in this horse stance position. We have 2 positions. I'm going to put one hand on top and go to the side that's on top. And we turn. So we're expanding. So we open and close. Now this is more of a bigger circle, so we have to lift the shoulders and then go to the side. We lift the shoulders and go to the side. So while we're expanding and contracting, we're mobilizing all the ligaments and tendons and joints in the torso, because this is a big movement. And you can't do the big movement if this part stays rigid. It doesn't want to go. So you have to let it go. Let it go. Lift. So your back expands and lifts, and so does your ribs when you contract and you expand. So you know how important it is to move your torso so that it stays connected and healthy, and all the ligaments and tendons that are in here. not a lot of tendons, but not big ones. They're really connective tissue here. You have to breathe by expanding and contracting. So if this is rigid, your breath is going to be shallow. So without moving this, and you want to move this not only to expand that, but to create circulation in this area, because this area becomes very stagnant from not voluntarily moving it. This area is not something that we pay a lot of attention to. We just let it go, and it houses. So you get all your ailments and your aches and pains, from here to here. That's where all the aches and pains are. There's other ones, but who knows which ones hurt more. A lot of people have lower back pain, upper back pain, neck pain. Then you go into the other joints. But pain is really a sign that something isn't right. It's not a normal thing to have pain. Those pain receptors tell you something, that something's going wrong. All right. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now raise the hand. 1. Then go straight up the center. Lift and relax. Lift and relax. Lift and relax. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Okay, you notice everything that we do goes both directions because you want to develop some balance. So the idea of Tai Chi and yin and yang and that concept of balance, it's all built in as a concept, a theory. Balance has to do with positive and negative, rising and falling, right and left, forward and back. So the relationship is already there. Now, whether your body understands the execution of that balance is really part of the training. So we have to work, really mindfully of what that balance and that relationship is. And if you develop a mindfulness of that, then the consciousness of this practice eventually becomes something that you can control much better. And really, that's how you will evolve. Okay, going from there, we're going to go through the form first. So we have to start from the shoulder width position, preparation. And we know that it's made up of a bunch of postures, about 16 to 17 postures in the form. We start with the left, then we turn to the right. And we're doing the first posture, or the second major posture is grasp the sparrow's tail right side, because it's your right foot forward. All the movements in the front of the, toward the mirror is actually predominantly the right side motions. So here's your slant diagonally, step up and raise the hand. And where do we go? Down, and then we go up, and then we go down. We move this way, and then we move this way. Okay, now turn, brush knee 4 times. Sit back, go forward. Sit back, twist. So that's your twist step. And you go forward. Anytime you move your foot outside of center is toeing out. And you do that to sort of widen the base of the supporting leg. So if you notice, this is toeing out. I'm going to brush knee again. Then I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. So we did more than we normally do in the form, but I wanted you to get that experience. And then go forward. Now we're going to sit back to strum the glute. That's neutral, 45 degrees, palm up to center, and you go forward, shift your weight, pass through center, close the door. Get in the habit of shifting your weight, pass through center, and then control that. That's how we control our center of mass. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Neutral position, turn. Fist on the elbow. Neutral position, forward, and back. Neutral position, forward and back. Sit back. Here's your third one. So repulse the monkey happens 3 times. Okay, next we're going to do the right side neutral. Hold the ball. This is another way of holding the ball. Twist step, diagonal flying. Sit back. Toe in. Insert the needle. Step forward. Adjust. Fan to the back. Turn. Stroke down. Parry and punch. Step up, form your fist. Punch. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Bring your hands down. Pivot, and pivot on the heel. Lower hoop. This is carry tiger to the mountain. It passes through the positions that we did in that drill. Raise the left hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings. Okay, we're here. Toe heel pivot. We're going to go to the left side. Grasp the sparrow's tail. So the back side, the side opposite the mirror, more of your left-sided movement. So this is left side single whip. Open the stance, and you turn out like this. Palm side in, hook side across, flip it over, adjust your feet, diagonal flying. Okay, now we're going to turn left side stroke down, bring the hand over. Now this is part the horse's mane, and it's just like we do in the drill, in the silk reeling, but we're just using a piece of that. Cross over. Here's your vertical Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross over, starting with vertical, and then go forward as horizontal, then back to center. Lift it up higher. This is your upper position. There's your high position, palm there. Drop your elbow, hook your wrist. Going back to this position, that's a start position to single whip. And now we're going to do a set of cloud hands. And the hands work exactly the same as when we do the drill, but now we're stepping to the left, but pivoting the feet to take us in that direction. So use your feet to steer you in the direction, and we're back to single whip. Now we're going to hold the ball, reverse the ball, bring the heel forward, bring the toe around till we're here. Turn the hand out, move it to the side, step backwards. You notice I pass through center. Now we're back to the right side leg forward, and then the left side, okay? And you deep breathe. So when we start the form, we start with the left. When we end the form, we end on the right. See? A lot of these little things people don't pay attention to because they don't think through the form and pay attention to those little things, but that's actually kind of what happens. So, that's the sequence. We have a few minutes, so let's do a couple of movements that we don't do as much in the drills. One of them is parry and punch. Stroke down, invert the hand, and punch. So here's your big circle. 1, 2, 3. That's like a hammer, fist, invert the hand, and we're like this. So it happens only on the right side, so we only have to deal with this hand at this point. And now when we're in this position and we turn, we just stroke down, bring this hand in toward the elbow, invert the hand. Now when we sit and turn toward the mirror, we have to go to the inside, so we have to move the left hand out. and then that takes you to the inside, and then you kind of reset. So you see, both hands actually have to do, what's necessary on each side. So it does take a different mindset. It's not doing things in pairs. So the intelligence of the hands really becomes programmed into your body. Now, while we're doing this in the typical form in the morning, or the first set of the exercises for cloud hands, we're going to have to pivot now in a direction. So we pivot this foot. So this is cloud hands footwork without the hands. Okay, let's just get the hands and feet moving so that we're familiar with this corner and this corner. So actually you go from 45 to 45. Now when we look in there, you can see the feet actually moving to take us in a direction. So you pivot your feet, shift your weight, pivot your feet, shift the weight. It's something you have to work with and practice and play around with till your body builds that coordination and feels smooth. Okay, it's sort of like, if you tried to learn ballroom dancing or any type of dance, you have to go through this awkward stage where you kind of go through trying to figure out how the body should move to build the rhythm and the flow of those movements. Tai Chi, any type of movement appears to be like dance, but actually the level of consciousness and the mindfulness of the movement and the really consistency and accuracy of movement is really a stage beyond what is just sort of random movement that's more like freestyle. This is very specific, and it's really training as a mechanism to build coordination, sequential movements, sequential events, and all of this stuff that we're building really supports our functionality of the body form. So anyways, deep breathing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So, a lot of people that are watching or viewing may not be local because, we're a local school. We're in Massachusetts. The thing is, because you're out there, you may not have opportunity to learn Tai Chi Paradigm specifically. So the streaming has brought us a lot of viewership and people that enjoy or appreciate the type of classes that I run. And, that's, a very positive thing. One of the missions, as I mentioned on Saturday, is to promote and preserve traditional arts as well as promote the Tai Chi Paradigm. I'd like people to be exposed to it more and more so that they can understand the benefits of Tai Chi, not just see it as a term, Tai Chi. You should do that when you're older, when you should want to improve balance. But how does this all work? My goal is to get you to understand how it works and why it works and why you should do it if this is something that you're concerned with. But everyone should be concerned with, the age-related degeneration because it happens as a natural course of aging and time. So you have to do something to sort of, intercept that and, sort of prevent things from happening, prematurely. So if you do it and you move, you actually will see that there's going to be a tremendous benefit over time. I can tell you from, not from the books, I'm telling you from my own experience because I know that this is what happens. And, anyone that writes a book is going to tell you what happens from their experience, typically. The book doesn't come first. It's really the person's experience. So what you're seeing is the live version of what happens if you were to look at some text. But people that just write about this really doesn't necessarily have the experience. So that's something that I'd like to get across to you so that continue to follow. We're going to continue to stream because of the interest and, continue to practice and build off of that. Give us a thumbs up. Go to YouTube and subscribe, and you'll always have the content. You'll always have access to it. Okay, and then move into the 108 movement form. I'd like to, go through the form first. That way people that just finished the Tai Chi Paradigm, it's still pretty fresh in their mind. So let's start off with preparation, and we move up. Always starting, it's actually the same as the Tai Chi Paradigm, the openings, first few movements, all the way to the leopard and tiger springs to mountain. So this is right side single whip, open, hold the ball, and continue. Raise the hand. As you get through the sequence, then there's a level of refinement, and you'll reach a stage where you would want to understand more about why movements work the way they do. So here we are, brush knee again. There's 4 of them. Then strum the lute. Close the door, form the fist, divert, block, and punch. Okay. Now we're going to go down. Instead of going to the neutral position, we're going to carry tiger to mount. So this happens in the front, and the right hand goes out versus the left. So if you're doing the 108 movement form, there's a few little different positions in the beginning. Now we're going to turn. These are the obliques. This is your left side brush knee push with a 180-degree turn, and then we're back to here, grasp the sparrow's tail. You'll eventually realize that single whip follows grasp the sparrow's tail. This goes to the oblique single whip. That's the only one that goes in that corner. And you turn and you face this direction. Fist on the elbow and picks up the repulse the monkey. Then we're going to do another carry tiger to the mountain with a twist step. And we lift the knee and we open the stance and spread the feet back to the horse stance. And then we go from here to here. Shift. Diagonal flying, shift, step up. Every time I say shift, it's bringing the weight over that supporting foot. So that means your ankle has to relax and the knee goes forward. Now we're going to do a brush knee one time with insert the needle. Up and down. Step forward, fan through the back. Turn. Stroke down. Parry and punch. Now we're going to step backwards. Because we're going to do a set of these later on. That one we step forward. This one we step backwards. So the first time is backwards, second time is forward. Grasp the sparrow's tail again. Hook your wrists, and then single whip. Here's where the first set of cloud hands begins. Initiating it with hold the ball. We have a shift and a shift and a shift. So that's really 1, piece of the cloud hands broken into 3 sections. And then we have 3 sets of them. And then we're back. Hook your wrists, open, and then we're in this corner. Now we're going to turn 1, 2, 3. This is your first instep kick. And we lift and kick. Bring it in. High pat the horse. Fold the elbows and kick. Turn. Fold the elbows and heel kick. Back to neutral. Palm rounded on that's your right side. Brush knee and push. There's 2 of these, left side brush knee and push. And then it's followed up by planting punch. So you step through and planting punches. Like a hammer fist, but it's off the back leg, you see. Turn, parry and punch. That's forward position. High pat the horse. To beat the tiger, so we're going to go to the corner, open the stance, go right behind the knee, open the legs, open the stance, turn to the corner, turn to the corner, form the gentle fist, and we're like this. So this is beat the tiger to the right heel kick, and then the 2 punches to the ear. Sit back, 1, 2, 3. Fold, up. And this is a potting leg, so it's a crescent kick that goes out from the side, and then it comes down. And you invert the hand. This is your parry and punch again. Form the right fist and punch, and you step up. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Okay, bring the hands down. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands. Go to the obliques again, the second set of obliques. And we go forward. And we sit back. Turn. Here's your second brush knee. And here's your grasp the sparrow's tail again. So instead of going to the oblique single whip, we're going to turn back to the front. If we didn't have this movement, we could actually skip and go right to the oblique and then begin pot the horse's mane. But because we have this movement that's the right side diagonal flying, we do that instead by turning back to the front. So we have 5 pot the horse's mane. Step up, stroke down, pot the horse's mane. Now we only do that once on the left, and we step up, and we're going to do it 2 more times. 1 and 2. We sit back, we go toward the open side, then we cross over, Jade Lady work shadow. Then we're going to stay on this front side toward the mirror, and we're going to pivot and do the opposite side, the right side Jade Lady work shadow, and we're going to do a pot the horse's mane in this corner. So that side is one side of the Jade Lady. Now we're going to cross over and do the side that's in the back 2 corners. Jade Lady work shadow. So we're going to work the back side, go to the opposite side, we'll go to the right side, Jade Lady work shadow. And we're going to cap that off with a grasp the sparrow's tail, right side. Now when we turn back to the front, we're ready to do the second set of cloud hands. Holding the ball first, and then we're going to do the 3 pieces that make that up. It's a set of cloud hands. That's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do the downward posture. For the first time, we're going to do a downward posture. So we start here. 1, step out. 2, invert the hand. Elbows up, now the elbows down, and then we pull down, and then we're going to step up, cross the hand, and then lift and pull back the knee, step down, poke and kick, and pull back the knee. That's your golden cockroach stands on one leg. Now we have the repulse the monkey, left side, and repulse the monkey, right side. So it's always starting on the left or repulse the monkey. That one came off of golden cockroach. The other one was on the fist on the elbow. So they just had two different preceding motions. Okay, now we're going to do this again, to carry tiger to the mountain. And we're going to open the stance and step down, hold the ball. So this elbow in, and repeat. Diagonal flying, step up, and raise the hand. Bend from the waist, stork flaps wings, and we turn. This is the second set of these. Actually brush knee one time, and then insert the needle a second time. Oh, this is just another repeat. So you start to see the pattern. Stroke down, parry. But now we step forward. So both times that series is exactly the same except for this movement. This movement went to the front. So that happened in the Tai Chi Paradigm. Now we go to grasp the sparrow's tail, which is a slightly different transition that you're used to. Now this is single whip right side again to the third set of cloud hands. So that happens just like the first two sets. Here's the shift, here's the turn, here's the pivoting. So most of the weight is still on one leg at a time. So you can see this is what we call differentiating between the solid and the empty. Right. So when we're like this, let's get back to single whip. Okay, now what do we have? We have palm strikes face. And we have the single lotus kick, which means this hand is going to hit this foot, your right foot to the left hand. And then we go to the left side, brush knee, and push. Sit back. Go forward, step up, and punch down the cross. So this is a 45-degree punch. And then we step up and repeat grasp the sparrow's tail. Go to single whip. And then next we have the last downward posture and the closing movement. So we did 3 sets of cloud hands, and that's what makes up the form. We cross the wrists, we step back, turn, hook, ride the tiger, palm strikes face, change the palm position. Now this foot and this 2 hands do that, sit back and draw bow to shoot tiger, palm strikes face, close, turn to parry and punch, and we repeat the high pat the horse. This is almost like the first kick, but we just keep continuing to the front. Okay, so there's really nothing new there. It's just sequential memory. And we're here. Now we hold the ball, flip the hands over for diagonal flying, and we move to the side, and we sit back. And extend. Okay, so that's the complete long form. It's the 108 movement sequence. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So once you've completed the long form and you can get through any of the postures that have given you some that were challenging, whether it's the kicks or the downward posture, some of those are not as important as may appear to be, because the important thing is blending the movements and building some synchronization and getting that sequence in the body. So some of the challenging movements, there's no doubt they will be challenging, especially if you've only started within the last year or so, and if you're not familiar with flexibility and so forth, it is a big challenge, because you can't go from 0 to 100 just like that. You have to kind of build and go through the process. So sequentially maintain it as the best you can, and then build that integration. So as you notice, when you first learn the form, you're building your geometry of position so that you can develop angular joint memory. And, as in any geometric shape, whether it's a square, a rectangle, a triangle, you have these corners. Well, circles don't have corners. Circles are round. So because Tai Chi movements should be round, you have to take the corners out. But you take the corners out without forgetting the geometry of the different shapes. So square has a precisionness that means that it's either parallel or they go in a direction. And then the triangle position really is how you fold your joints to create those angular positions. So the muscle memory that everyone talks about is really joint angle memory. And then when you build the synchronization, you have to build the volume of movement by taking out the corners. So in other words, if you start off like this, and then you go like this, between this and this is kind of broken. And the reason is because we're not trying to blend it. We're trying to create that, and we're trying to create this in this position as we press as a structure. When you build structure into the movements, then your body starts to understand the body mechanics in relationship to the movements. And then you have transitions that actually will connect some of these things together. So between this and this is a transition. So how do you get your hand to go from horizontal to vertical to right to left? Is because you have to integrate another part of your body. So while we're thinking of turning right to left, and we're going forward and back and turning, the lower half of your body and the upper half of your body has to blend the best it can to create the volume of movement. So without being able to do that, mainly because of coordination issues or the inability to build the flexibility into the legs and the transitional side of the leg work. So when you move, shifting of the weight, the hips actually play a major role in how we have to sit back and turn and go forward. So that's like that. When we're in this position and we shift and we go like this and we shift, the hips are still playing a major role. That's why the hips have to be relaxed and not in conflict with the shifting. Because if you don't include your hips, then your shifting is going to be like this. So automatically that's going to be a certain amount of rigidity. So what you have to do is when you blend and you turn, you have to release the tension in your hips, because that's what takes you in directions, and that's what allows you to become much more agile in the lower half of your body. So if you have issues with balance and you have issues with rigidity in the lower half of the body, the first thing you have to do is look at your hips. Now, a lot of people have hip problems, but then they've also had hip replacements. So the hip is going to be somewhat binding. So what you have to do is build some strength and flexibility in the hips. Even if you had a hip replacement, you probably have a lot of, dimensional issues because of the lack of range of motion, because when it healed, it maybe didn't, it wasn't moved enough. You have to actually move your joints, even if you had an injury, you have to move them to get back the range of motion. Otherwise, it's going to be, not adaptable. So if your hips don't adapt and you don't have the flexibility in your hip, you have to move your hips. If your ankles have been kind of compromised over the years because you don't bend them, and they don't bend because people generally don't really pay attention to the ankle, but your ankles have to be flexible. So if I go forward and I say lean or shift, then in order for your knee to go forward and go over the toe, your ankle has to relax. Because if you have tension in your ankle, your foot's going to do this, and you're going to bend your knee, but you're actually not moving your ankle. The only way you can be stable when you sink is to have your spine dropping toward the heel of the supporting foot. And when the heel goes to the supporting foot and you relax the ankle, then the knee starts to go forward over the foot, because that's what it has to do to maintain stability and balance. But if you don't look at it in this way, then you're never going to be able to understand why you're losing your balance until you start to get your body involved with that. So first thing is, do the exercises that we do, because you're starting from the ground up to release the tension in the joints. So the primary movers, the ankles, the knees, the hips, and so forth, the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders, have to become pliable, but then you have to build awareness to movement. So movement should be round, which is eventually your goal, and not only because we're making a circle, because we can make a round circle like this, but that's not doing anything for the rest of the body. We have to build a round circle like this. So that's what grasps the sparrow's tail. And then you connect it when we move to the next position, and then move the legs, and then the hips, and then shift. So all of this stuff starts to become part of this whole strategy of how to build, better movement and prevent the age-related degeneration. The age-related degeneration, the first line is not using your body and not knowing how to use it. And that's more of what the society has than not. Most people don't know how to train and don't know how to move. That's why people go have personal trainers. That's why they go to gyms. Because they don't really aren't motivated to do it themselves, or they need to go someplace where they can follow. So this, you don't actually have to go anywhere, but watch it on the video and do it at home. And these things don't require equipment. These exercises don't require any special clothes. All you need to do is follow it and do it. Okay. So with that said, if you enjoyed this, continue. It's more, and I do these live, so it's constantly what's running through my mind and what I think you need to hear. So the more you hear, the more you see, the more you do, the better you get. So keep that in mind. Go to YouTube, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and you'll have access to all the videos that we're doing. I think there's over 200 videos that are somehow related to Calvin Chin's Martial Arts Academy or CCMAA. So there's 150 live classes. And so that's a lot of content. And a lot of it is form and sequence and exercises, but the information is going to vary dramatically, because I focus on different topics each time, and hopefully if you have enough time, you can watch them and pick up sort of new information each time. So on that note, I'll see you Thursday, and if you're interested, you can review it again today. All right, I'll see you again.